If the ground is soft, you just need to dig, then it should release the rice.
Legumes have numerous benefits for farmers. They are good for crop rotation, which improves soil fertility. And when selling, they attract fairly good prices on the market, which farmers yearn for, considering that farming is a business. Food legumes like soybeans, groundnuts, cowpeas, pigeon peas and beans are nutritious and can significantly improve household food and nutrition security. In the 2018-2019 farming season, some parts of the country experienced droughts and dry spells. As a result, most crops were negatively affected. However, legumes like cowpeas and pigeon peas are drought tolerant and still perform well, even with little rains. Such crops are ideal for farmers, especially in present times, when the effects of climate change are becoming more pronounced. The Ministry of Agriculture, through the Zambia Agriculture Research Institute, ZARI, is implementing a 5-year agriculture productivity program for Southern Africa, APPSA. APPSA is a regional program covering Zambia, Malawi, and Mozambique. Zambia is a center of leadership for food legumes, which are soybeans, beans, cowpeas, groundnuts, and pigeon peas. Malawi is a center of excellence for maize, while Mozambique is a center of excellence for rice.
Zambia is participating in this program since 2014, when the implementation of activities commenced. And across the two technical components, component 1 and 2, we have scored quite a great deal of success. Under component 1, we have generated 22 technologies. And again, we have disseminated a total of 94 technologies to the beneficiaries who are the smallholder farmers. And through this program, we have managed to reach out to a total now of 1,033,000 farmers. Under component 2, we have managed to enhance capacity within ZARI through, first of all, infrastructure development. We have managed to put up or rehabilitate irrigation system at Mount Makuru, but also put in place another at Kawe Research Station. We have rehabilitated 2 soil chemistry laboratories at 2 research stations, Mount Makuru and Kawe. At the same time, too, we have also rehabilitated other research stations across the country through a minor rehabs. And all these labs this time around have been equipped with laboratory equipment that has been procured through this program.
In Zambia, APPSA has developed improved seed varieties for legumes, rice, and maize. The project has also generated improved agronomical technologies.
We have actually been developing different crop varieties, and we've been looking at rice, maize, and legumes. So what we are doing is that we develop varieties that are suitable in different agroecologies. As you are aware, maybe in light of climate change, we should be cognizant of the fact that crop types must be specific to a given area. If you are growing a crop type that is not suited to that particular area, then you reduce on productivity and production. So we've been developing varieties, and we are passing on this information to farmers to say, in this particular agroecology, this is a type of crop type that you need to grow, so that we maximize on benefit on productivity and production. We also develop crop production guides, because we are aware that it's a project, it's coming to an end, but the information that we have generated will remain with us. And so all this information is rolled out in crop production guides, so that farmers, our colleagues in Extension, can access this information and utilize it in the field.
So we are looking at 5 legumes: groundnuts, beans, soybeans, cowpeas, and pigeon peas. In all these legumes, we were looking at developing technologies that are better adapted to the prevailing environments in Zambia. In this case, we are looking at varieties that are better yielding. We are looking at varieties that are resilient to issues of climate change. As you know, climate change is a big issue now. So in our work, we were directing all our efforts in trying to come up with varieties that are able to withstand the conditions and give us good yields. The conditions we are talking about are issues of drought, issues of emerging pests and diseases. So in this case, we are looking at coming up with varieties that will withstand these conditions.
We look at the attributes before a variety is released. We look about the preference of the farmers. We compare to the variety which is locally preferred by the farmers. In this case, one of them is they must be high yielding as the first criteria in determining which is suitable, because we must provide more food to the farmer. Number 2 is we look at the maturity period. Looking at the current climatic conditions we have in the country, the rains are coming slightly late, and therefore it is important for us to develop varieties that can grow within the rain cycle. Previously, the rain used to begin as early as November, and so we had those varieties that were long maturing varieties, which were planted in November and will mature somewhat, will take about 6 months for it to mature. Currently, the varieties that we have developed can even be planted even in January, and they're still going to have to harvest and something. In this case, I mean, the current varieties actually they are medium maturing.
The maize program have developed and released varieties that are quality protein maize. The varieties are GV682P, GV687P. The P stands for protein, meaning that these varieties are high in protein, especially for lysine and tryptophan, which are essential amino acids. We have also released the varieties that have multiple stress tolerance. The stresses are the drought, and then the other stresses are the disease, which are the grey leaf spot, the tassicum, the maize streak virus, as well as the ear rots. The varieties are the GV511, the GV642, the GV693. The GV511 is an early maturing variety suited for the region 1 and 2, while the GV642 and GV693 are for region 2 and region 3. The varieties that we have developed under APPSA have all been licensed. We have licensed the GV693 to Beta Seeds. The GV511 and GV642 we have licensed to Share Africa. The quality protein maize, which are the GV692P and the GV687P, have been licensed to Sakondola Seed Company. These are emerging seed companies.
Developing improved seed varieties cannot generate the desired impact in the country's agriculture sector if farmers do not actually access the improved seed varieties. APPSA is working with the Seed Control and Certification Institute, SCCI, to fast-track the release of the improved seed varieties so that farmers can start accessing them.
We've gotten varieties which are supposed to be released for under APPSA, about 39 varieties of different legumes, rice, and even some maize varieties. They are under test in various locations countrywide. And we decided to do a fast tracking release in the sense that we want those varieties to be available for the Zambian community to start accessing them and planting. So we have gone into fast tracking, which is not the usual case. The normal case, the variety is supposed to go through to undergo test for 2 seasons, but because we are lacking certain varieties that the farmers need, we decided to increase the number of sites and then do it just for 1 season. This is not a normal case, but we do that in exception cases where we see that there is need to increase or to make available certain varieties for the Zambian farmers to access.
Having access to improved seed is one thing. Growing them under correct management practices to record optimum yields is a different story. In addition to developing improved seed varieties, researchers at ZARI have developed agronomical practices aimed at helping farmers to record high yields.
When we develop these varieties, there is what we call agronomic packages that which we want to accompany the production of these technologies, that is the varieties. So what we do is we inform our farmers some of the conditions under which these varieties can grow. And this will entail that the farmers will get something closer to what we are getting, because in most cases our farmers neglect some of these varieties because of the way they handle the crop, especially legumes. We have been most times told that legumes you don't need to put a number of inputs, you don't need to put fertilizer, and this really is not a true reflection of what is supposed to be done, because most of these legumes still they need fertilizer, and we have recommendations that to accompany these varieties. And if farmers take these recommendations, the way you are supposed to plant, the spacing, the seed rate, the application of fertilizer, the weeding, and all other managements that are recommended with these varieties, the farmers will get more than what they are getting. And even if they may not reach they hit the target of the research centers, but they will be almost 75 or 80% closer to that.
Cassava is an important economic crop. It can enable farmers to generate profit starting from selling leaves to roots or tubers, as is the case with cassava. The leaves are sold as relish. The stems generate cash when sold as cuttings for planting, while tubers are sold for either consumption or industrial use. Unfortunately, there is some sad news for farmers who grow cassava. A virus is attacking the crop, starting from leaves to the stem and tubers. This virus is the cassava brown streak virus. APPSA is working with researchers to contain the virus. Apart from fighting the cassava brown streak virus, researchers are also in the process of developing new varieties for cassava.
Our concern has been the new disease, which is the cassava brown streak disease, which has been identified in the northern part of the country, specifically in Chienge and Kaputa districts. So what we have done under APPSA is to collect samples and identify the viruses that are responsible for transmitting this disease. So that has been done. We have identified the virus that is responsible for spreading this disease, and this virus is transmitted by a whitefly. And because of that, we are encouraging farmers in those particular areas not to move cuttings from that particular area. And also, we are encouraging them, once they identify the symptoms on the cassava plants, we are encouraging them to destroy the plants that are diseased, because if they leave them, they are going to transmit, they become a source of inoculum for transmission of the disease to other plants. We have also started developing the seed system where we are generating plants that are virus-free. And what we are trying to do is, once the farmers in those areas which are they destroy plants in those areas, they can request for planting material which is disease-free, so that they can start afresh. The other activity that we are doing under APPSA is we are trying to establish, look for varieties that are drought tolerant, but not only drought tolerant, but they are also tolerant to pests and diseases.
Researchers in the agriculture sector require state-of-the-art equipment to make it easy for them to carry out their work effectively and efficiently. APPSA has rehabilitated and equipped soil testing laboratories at Mount Makulu and Kawe research stations with ultra-modern equipment. The project has also purchased a mobile soil testing laboratory to take soil services closer to farmers.
We've trained researchers in various studies. We are looking at PhD, masters, as well as bachelors. And also we have built capacity in the laboratories in terms of rehabilitating the laboratories and equipping them with latest equipment. The idea is to make sure that we are up at the state of the art in terms of equipment for soil testing and plant testing. Because as you are aware, this country, we have blanket fertilizer recommendations. What we are saying is that we need to be more site-specific, because soils are different. The climate is different in different agroecologies. And so we need to make sure that different agroecologies in the different zones, we have developed site-specific fertilizer recommendations.
It's very encouraging for us to see that now there is a whole number of human resource who has been trained to use the new equipment, build enhanced capacity for testing samples, providing information on a very short period of time rather than farmers waiting for weeks and in some cases even for months to get results back. Now they are able to get those results much faster because of the upgradation that happened to this facility. So we're very happy to see all that.
From the 8th to 10th April 2019, a World Bank Implementation Support Mission, which comprised delegates from the World Bank, Center for Coordination of Agricultural Research and Development for Southern Africa, CADESA, and APPSA implementing countries of Malawi and Mozambique, made to review progress made by Zambia in implementing the APPSA project. An essential part of the mission was to visit farmers who have benefited from improved seed varieties and agronomical practices. The farmers who were visited planted improved varieties for soybeans and maize. The farmers also use improved agronomical practices promoted by APPSA, such as use of herbicides, a fertilizer applicator for faster and precise application of the input, and practice crop rotation. Wilborn Hamainza is a farmer of Shimkun Agriculture Camp in Chibombo district. Mr. Hamainza has been working with APPSA for 6 years now. He grows improved seed varieties for soybeans and maize developed by APPSA. He rotates his crops and uses herbicides to control weeds. His yields have tremendously increased over the years. Initially, he used to harvest 10 to 20 by 50 kilogram bags of maize from 1 hectare, barely managing to meet his requirement for home consumption. He now manages to record 200 by 50 kilogram bags of maize from the same hectareage.
Ndiye famu yanga hii hapa. Hapa ninabwera mu 93. 93 tenzo vutika na family yanga pa first tenzo gona muri ichi nyumba ichapa. So pamene tinabunzira va APPSA. Tinayambo kolola vambiri. Tinakala na plan ati kunkhala umu sichabwino. Ero muona mitengo ya sira. So chifunika timange nyumba. Tinayambo manga nyumba iri uku. So i nyumba tinaimanga through the help of APPSA. Kai nyumba naimanga kuma 2016. Ndiye pamene inasiya.
Noah Mkose is another farmer of Shimkuni Agriculture Camp in Chiwombo district. Mr. Mkose has benefited from drought-tolerant maize varieties developed by APPSA. Mr. Mkose's crop would make one believe that his field was spared from the dry spell, but it was not. His crop withstood the dry spell because, like I have stated, the maize variety planted is drought-tolerant, and it was planted in riplines.
Variety GV 637 the first time wanaileta chabe research ati waone ati ili bwanje mpamvu ku chilala. So tunaiona ati seed ili bwino monga ine farmer. This is the first time ku chita seed ine. So hapa kuti ikabwele pa market nzagula yambiri ati nikalime yambiri wakanipase olo 1 ton ningalime.
Delegates from the World Bank, CADESA and APPSA implementing countries of Malawi and Mozambique were pleased with the progress Zambia has made in implementing the project.
The cropping season has been marred by a drought here in Zambia. Unlike where I come from, where the heavy rains and floods, plus heavy cyclones. So my impressions are that whatever we have seen, there's at least something that is coming up. Two, the interaction between the research scientists, extension workers, as well as farmers is very, very impressive. Because whatever research we do, we would like the results to create an impact in the society. Then we increase productivity of the various crops that we are working on. So that is a high score to say that farmers are interacting well with their extension staff in Zambia.
This is one of the visits that anyone could wanted to be here, because we are on a 5th year of the project, and we have been interacting among the 3 countries, Mozambique, Malawi and Zambia. And at this stage is a stage where we can see, we have to see different interactions, not only among the sister projects, but also with the farmers. And in terms of interaction with the farmers, I have seen the results of technologies developed by ZARI, in this case, the Agriculture Research in Zambia, that are taken by farmers, and the farmers are able to talk about these technologies very well. So it means that there is appropriation of those technologies.
We are very happy with the collaboration that is going on among the 3 countries. This is the reason why the other 2 countries are here in Zambia, because the collaboration is going on very well.
The work done thus far by APPSA Zambia is commendable. The project has developed improved seed varieties for food legumes, which are soybeans, beans, cowpeas, groundnuts, and pigeon peas. The project has also developed drought-resistant and vitamin A-rich maize varieties. It has further developed rice varieties. APPSA has also come up with improved agronomical technologies. These developments would directly help farmers to increase their yields. The rehabilitation and equipping of soil testing laboratories at Mount Makulu and Kabwe research stations will help researchers to effectively and efficiently provide soil testing services to farmers and interested parties in the agriculture sector. Results of such tests will, for instance, help farmers to determine the correct type and amount of fertilizer to apply. It is envisaged that ultimately, the interventions being implemented by APPSA will result in increased agricultural production and productivity for the country.
Yeah.